The gala buzzed with laughter, champagne glasses clinking under glittering chandeliers. Amid the crowd, Mark adjusted his tie nervously, feeling out of place in his rented tuxedo. A single dad, juggling 2 jobs and late-night homework sessions, he wasn't used to events like this. He had come only to accompany a friend, but fate had other plans. Near the grand staircase, a woman sat alone, her shoulders slumped, eyes distant. Something about her fragility struck him. Without thinking, Mark approached. "Hi, is everything okay?" he asked gently. She looked up, startled, as if no one had noticed her in hours. I'm fine," she whispered, her voice trembling. Mark shook his head. "No, you're not. Sometimes, talking helps." He offered a small smile, the kind you'd give a stranger in need. Slowly, she opened up about the pressure, the isolation, and the weight of expectations she carried every day. Mark listened, genuinely, without judgment, sharing small laughs and empathetic nods. As the night unfolded, he never guessed who she really was, the CEO of one of the country's fastest-growing companies. But she didn't care about his background, she felt the warmth of someone who saw her as human first, not a title. When the gala ended, she squeezed his hand. "Thank you, Mark. You reminded me what kindness feels like." Mark smiled, oblivious to the impact of his simple gesture. That night, neither of them knew that a chance encounter would soon reshape both their lives forever. The following week, Mark returned to his routine, morning rush with his kids, long hours at the auto repair shop, and evenings spent grading homework. Life felt the same, yet he couldn't shake the memory of the woman at the gala. Her eyes, tired but alive, had left an imprint on him, and her gratitude replayed in his mind. Then, an unexpected email arrived. The subject line simply read, "Coffee?" Curious, Mark opened it to find a message from the woman he had comforted. She wanted to meet, not as a CEO, but as the person he had talked to, laughed with, and shared a moment of honesty. Their first meeting was at a quiet cafe downtown. She arrived in casual clothes, her presence calm yet commanding. "Mark," she said softly, "I've been thinking about our conversation at the gala. You reminded me what real human connection feels like, without pretense, without judgment." Mark chuckled nervously. "I was just being, me." "No," she said, shaking her head. "You were being extraordinary. You showed me kindness at a moment when I forgot how it felt. That matters more than you know." Over coffee, their stories unfolded, her pressures as a CEO, his struggles as a single father. And slowly, a friendship bloomed, built on mutual respect and authenticity. Weeks passed, and she started visiting Mark's shop under the pretense of car maintenance, but really, she came to see him and his children. His kids adored her instantly, she had a warmth that felt natural, like she'd been part of their lives all along. Mark began to realize that this was more than chance, it was life nudging him towards something bigger than himself. Little did he know, the next surprise she had planned would change everything about how he saw opportunity, kindness, and hope. One rainy afternoon, Mark was closing the shop when his phone buzzed. A formal invitation had arrived, an exclusive corporate charity event hosted by none other than the woman he had comforted. Confused, he glanced at the envelope. It wasn't just an invite, it was a personal request for him to attend. At first, Mark hesitated. He wasn't used to mingling with executives or wearing tailored suits beyond the occasional gala. But he remembered her words, the way she had said his kindness mattered. Taking a deep breath, he accepted. The night of the event, Mark arrived with his kids in tow. The room was grand, filled with polished laughter and sparkling lights, yet he felt grounded, as if he belonged for the first time. She spotted him instantly, her smile lighting up the hall. "Mark. I'm so glad you came," she said, pulling him aside. As the evening progressed, she made a surprising announcement. Her company had launched a program to support struggling single parents, providing grants, mentorship, and resources to help them thrive. And she wanted Mark to be the first ambassador. He blinked, stunned. Me? Why? Because you embody everything this program is about, she replied, her voice sincere. You're kind, hardworking, and selfless. You reminded me that one act of compassion can ripple far beyond what we imagine. In that moment, Mark realized his life was shifting. The man who thought he was ordinary was now in a position to inspire change for others, thanks to a simple act of listening and caring. The night ended with laughter, handshakes, and heartfelt hugs. Mark returned home, heart full, kids tucked in, understanding that life has a way of rewarding those who act with humanity, sometimes when you least expect it. Weeks turned into months, and Mark's life began to transform in subtle, meaningful ways. His shop remained his anchor, but the connection with the CEO, whose name, he now knew, was Olivia, grew deeper. She wasn't just visiting, she was genuinely invested in his world, learning about his kids' favorite cartoons, helping with school projects, and laughing at his terrible attempts at baking. One evening, after closing the shop, Olivia stayed late to help organize supplies for a charity drive. The kids were asleep upstairs, and Mark felt a quiet contentment he hadn't known in years. Mark, Olivia said softly, I wanted to tell you something important. He looked up, curious. You changed me, she continued. That night at the gala, your kindness reminded me of what's truly important. I see now that success isn't just about numbers and growth, it's about impact, about compassion. You taught me that. Mark's throat tightened. He had never expected to hear this from someone so accomplished. I didn't do much, he muttered. No, Olivia said, shaking her head gently. You did everything. You reminded me that human connection can't be bought or scheduled, it's given freely. And because of you, we're building a program that will help countless families like yours. Mark felt a lump rise in his chest, realizing how one simple gesture, sitting beside a lonely woman, offering a listening ear, had created a ripple far beyond his imagination. That night, as he tucked his kids into bed, he looked around at his modest home and smiled. Life had handed him more than he'd ever hoped for, not wealth, not fame, but something far greater, a reminder that kindness, selflessness, and humanity can open doors to miracles. And in that quiet glow of contentment, he knew the best chapters were still ahead. Months later, Mark's life had fully changed, though not in the ways most people would expect. His shop thrived, yes, but more importantly, he had built a community around him, a network of single parents, neighbors, and friends who shared their challenges and victories. Olivia's program had taken off, helping families access resources, mentorship, and hope. One crisp autumn evening, the CEO and the single dad walked through a park, his kids running ahead, laughing. I never imagined, Mark said, watching them, that one small moment at a gala could lead to all this. Olivia smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. It wasn't small. You reminded me what it means to see people, really see them. Your humanity changed more than just my perspective, it's changing lives. Mark felt a warmth he had never experienced before. Not money, not fame, not even recognition, this was the kind of fulfillment that came from truly connecting with someone and making a difference. Later that night, as he tucked his children into bed, he reflected on the journey. From an awkward gala encounter to the launch of a life-changing program, from lonely nights to laughter-filled evenings, every step had been fueled by simple acts of compassion. He realized that kindness isn't just a gesture, it's a force that transforms lives in ways you can't always foresee. And sometimes, the smallest act, given without expectation, creates ripples that echo far beyond your imagination. Mark looked at his children, smiling softly. The world could be harsh, unfair, and unpredictable, but tonight he knew this, even one person's warmth can light up a life. And in that quiet, beautiful moment, he understood the truth that had guided his journey all along: humanity, selflessness, and genuine connection are the real measures of success.